Present perfect simple. That is to say in Spanish, he terminado los deberes o yo he ido al cine esta semana. But how do I say this in English? So if I follow this structure, this drawings is quite easy. First of all, subject, and then have or has, depending on the subject we have. And then the verb. If the verb is regular, I have just to add a ed. For example, finish, finish, finished, and finished. Every verb has three different forms. Infinitive, and this is the one we use to say something in present simple. Finished, which is the past simple. And finished, we're going to use it just to make the present perfect simple, okay? But what about an irregular verb? So I'm afraid you have to know them by heart. You got a list at the end of the book. And if you take a look, you will find out that go, went, gone. Gone, it is going to be the one we're going to choose for the present perfect simple. So if I want to say in English, he terminado los deberes, it would be something like, I have finished homework. And if I want to say, yo he ido al cine esta semana, I have gone to the cinema this week. But normally, if we are speaking, instead of saying I have or he has, we say it much faster and we say I've or his. So I could say, he terminado los deberes this way. I finished homework. Yo he ido al cine esta semana. I've gone to the cinema this evening. Oh, this evening, nope. This week. What about if I want to say no? Well, I suppose you already have guessed it. I haven't or he hasn't. And then the verb. The past participle. Okay, so I haven't finished homework, or I haven't gone to the cinema this week. And what about questions? So as always, if you want to add here what, where, when, what time, whatever, you put it here at the very beginning of the sentence, then have or has, subject, and the verb. Remember, past participle, the third column of the verb, okay? So for example, if I want to say something like, ¿has terminado? It would be something like, have you finished? ¿Dónde has ido? Where have you gone? Okay, let's talk about the use and different ways of a present perfect. So the present perfect, we're going to use it to talk about past actions, and we don't know the exact time. Like for example, they have visited lots of countries. Okay, when we don't know when, but it is something that happened in the past. And many times the present perfect simple, it is used with some other words. Like for example, ever. Ever is in Spanish alguna vez. So if you want to say, ¿has trabajado alguna vez como voluntario? It should be something like, have you ever worked as a volunteer? Another word, like never, we use it to say nunca. I've never been to Egypt. Nunca he estado en Egipto. Just. Acabar de hacer alguna cosa. He's or she's just spent 4 weeks traveling around America. Acaba de pasar 4 semanas viajando a lo largo y ancho de América. Already significa ya. They've already finished building the new school. Ya han terminado de construir la nueva escuela, el nuevo colegio. Yet. So we're going to use the present perfect with yet in questions to ask if an action is completed or not. ¿Y qué significa yet en las interrogativas aquí? Pues significa ya. Have you finished your homework yet? No se dice have you already finished. Already lo vamos a dejar solamente para afirmativas. Así que si queremos decir a alguien que se ha terminado de hacer alguna cosa, se va a decir con yet. Have you finished your homework yet? And yet, cuando se coge y se dice en negativa, I haven't written my essay yet, significa todavía. Todavía no he terminado mi redacción. Ok, so yet, cuando es una pregunta, significa ya. Y yet, cuando es una frase interrogativa, cuando es negativa, significa todavía. We have some other words like, for example, for and since, talking about periods of time. So use the present perfect with for and since to answer the question how long. Use for with periods of time. My brothers played in a band for 3 years. Si yo quiero decir el periodo de tiempo, 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, 3 months, days, hours. I mean, if you got something here like number, you have to say for. But if you want to say a date or a point in time, you have to say since. We've lived in this house since I was 2. My dad's worked as a teacher since 1998. Okay, so you're saying exactly the same thing, but if you say for, you have to say the number, and if you say since, you have to say the exact time, point in time, or you have to say the date, okay? The year, the month, or whatever. Now, I've got some sentences for you to translate, okay? And all of them are going to be in classroom. So it will be a task for you in classroom, okay? How can you write these things? Don't write them down in your notebook because you're going to do it in classroom, okay? But here you go. Present perfect continuous. He estado trabajando toda la noche. So we have already seen the present perfect simple. He trabajado toda la noche. And now we're going to take a look at he estado trabajando toda la noche. So in English, this should be something like I have been working all night. Okay? So if you follow this structure, it's quite simple to say all these kind of sentences. What about negative form? Well, instead of have, we have haven't or hasn't. I haven't been working all night. And talking about questions, have you been working all night? Okay. And as always, if you want to get more information, you should say something at the very beginning with what, where, or whatever. But when am I going to use the present perfect continuous? So, we're going to use it to talk about actions and situations, often temporary ones, continuing up to now, okay? You've been playing that game for hours. You look very tired. You've been playing that game for hours. So this is an action continuing up to now. You started playing and you continue playing that game for hours. Okay? And we're going to use it talking about actions and situations that ended recently. For example, she's been working all morning and she's only just finished. Ha estado trabajando toda la mañana y acaba de terminar. Okay? So phrases used with the present perfect continuous include most of the times words like all day, week, morning, for, just, and since, like we have already said before with the present perfect simple. Now, let's go to the book. And okay, so let's go to your book, student's book, page 28, exercise 1. Choose the correct word or phrase. So take a look at it, make your choice, and here we go. They've booked a lovely resort by the sea. Number 2, I haven't heard of the Hyperloop. Number 3, have you stayed at that campsite before? Number 4, I've been writing this article about unusual holidays for hours and I still haven't finished. Page 28, exercise 2. Put a word from the box in each gap. Number 1, I've had my bike for 3 years. And I still have it, okay? Number 2, Ellie has loved skateboarding since she was little. Number 3, I don't need a new bike helmet. I've already got one. Number 4, we still haven't decided where we're going on holiday. Number 5, has your dad got his new car yet? And number 6, have you ever been to the USA before? Page 28, exercise 3. Complete the second sentence so it has a similar meaning to the first, using the word given in the correct form. Use the present perfect simple or continuous. Number 1, Dad got his motorbike 4 years ago. So if I want to write that idea exactly the same but using the present perfect simple or continuous, this is the way. Dan has had his motorbike for 4 years. Number 2, is this your first visit to Madrid? Have you ever been to Madrid before? This will be my first time staying in a hostel. I haven't stayed in a hostel before. And number 4, we started waiting for you at 1 o'clock. We have been waiting for you since 1 o'clock. Page 28, exercise 4. Put the verbs into the correct tense. Past simple, present perfect simple, or present perfect continuous. Have you ever been to London? If you have, you've probably travelled on the London Underground, the third longest metro system in the world. Even if you haven't been to London, you've probably heard of it. Read on some fun facts. Did you know that the Underground, also known as the Tube, is the oldest metro in the world? It includes the tunnels of the Metropolitan Railway, which opened back in 1863. In other words, passengers have been travelling under London on the Tube for more than 150 years. The Tube has changed a lot over the years. Lots of stations have opened since 1863 and lots have closed, including the Tower London closed in 1884. In the past 24 hours, more than 3 million people have got on and off an underground train. Final fun fact. No one has actually counted them, but scientists have calculated that about 500,000 mice live in the tunnels of the underground. Are you one of those?